Yeah.
It's certainly a logical question, right?
Yeah.
How did NASA know? I mean, the planet's almost as big as Earth.
Yeah.
It has gravity close to that of Earth, but how do they know where to send these two little tiny rovers that can go only an average of about 240 feet per day, and that's it? They just crawl very, very, very slowly.
Mm.
They're about the size of a golf cart, but they don't move that fast. Their batteries charge up, and they run, and then they stop running, and they recharge. But how do they know where to go? Now, this is what they did, and this was aired once on NASA's channel for the world to see.
Mm.
They had a room about the size of a school classroom, and there was probably 20, 25 scientists and other people in there. And there was a man up front, and he had a flat topographical map of Mars. And he said, okay, these are the 5 landing sites to go to. Okay, and one of them is where the Opportunity rover was sent.
Yeah.
Which is in the middle of absolutely nothing in any direction as far as the eye can see. There's just nothingness. It's believed to be a dried up sea.
Yeah.
All right. So, I mean, it went for months and months, and the tracks you could see looking back to the horizon. It just kept going, and there was nothing there all the way back to its landing pad. So the one I focused on was the Spirit rover.
Mm.
And that was sent to a place on Mars with a crater known as the Gusev crater, G-U-S-E-V.
Yeah.
E-E-V, sorry. G-U-S-E-V.
G-U-S-E-V.
And this was a 90-mile wide crater, which they landed near the edge of the crater. Well, but how did... So the bottom line is, okay, this is one of the 5 sites, and the other rover went to one of the 5 sites. How did they come up with those 5 sites? This was never explained, and probably never will be. But looking at the writing on the rocks, it seems pretty clear to me somebody's been there. Whoever it was. Us, them. The writing didn't get there by itself.
No.
So either someone's been there, or the writing dates way back in time.
Mm. Okay,
to, maybe before there was civilization on Earth.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Extremely, extremely old. But the block with the writing was interesting in that it wasn't covered in many millennium worth of dirt and dust.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And that's also true of that triangular object, the other figure. So how could this, this doesn't, whenever there's wind and erosion and, processes we know like we have on Earth, I mean,
yeah.
When they go to Egypt, what do? They got to dig down 5, 10, 15 feet to get to something that used to be on the surface.
Exactly, yeah.
So if we have these winds blowing around on Mars, how could they be sitting right out there in the open so nicely? There's just something very, very odd about those.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, do you think that it's really strange. It's disturbing in one sense because if it is if all of this is for show only, so to speak, they might be actually on the rovers I'm talking about. Actually, might be on Mars, and they might be driving around, in this area that they know, isn't well off in sense of that there are kind of these huge archaeological structures there or something, but it seems like it's very poorly done if it's only for show, so to speak.
Yeah, it's often been said NASA is pure theater, and I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
bad theater.
Okay, if we go back about 70 years to the Hitler's time, and we look at what his scientists did, they had flying disc technology. And this has been witnessed by many. Actually, the drawings and plans for it have been on the web for some time. It helps if you can read German if you want to read them. But they started with things like the Coanda effect. There's a number of their scientists came up with some amazing, very simple concepts to defy gravity. Now, where did all this technology go? It disappeared when the Allies won the war, and and the war ended, and this stuff all vanished, gone. Well, suppose that technology was continued and worked on. Can you imagine how far it would be in 70 years?
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Wright brothers, Went from a plane where you're laying on your stomach to the planes we have today.
Yeah.
So imagine how far this technology would go with today's materials and engineering and, and computers and so forth. I mean, it would be unrecognizable from alien technology. In fact, there's a general rule in the military that military technology advances 44 years for every 1 year of civilian technology advancement. That's the ratio.
All right.
So that speaks volumes about how we could easily have gone to Mars.
Yeah.
In fact, it's known, I have heard it called Alternative 3.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking about that. But please go ahead and talk about it.
Well, it's basically an arc. It's like an arc in space. If something demolishes the Earth, then the seed of humankind will be there. That sums it up. I mean, it's a base there. We have many images on the website taken from orbit, infrared images that show large areas glowing underneath the surface. They kind of look like subdivisions, with streets. They're just a matrix of lines.
Yeah.
But these are covering hundreds of miles. I mean, these are huge. I mean, they're taken from 200 miles up, and they fill the frame of the camera. So, clearly there's some activity going on there.
Yeah.
The question is who and what, but something's going on there.
So, do you think that this is a joint mission or operation, involving all kinds of different, nations on Earth, or is this something that hasn't to do with nations at all? This is a totally different organization, so to speak.
I don't know the makeup of, who would be on those bases. You would think that you would want a cross-section of humanity, but it depends on who's flipping the tab and, how much arrogance goes on, and if they think, their race is the race that should survive and none others. I mean, this opens a whole new can of worms to explore.
Oh my God! Yeah, I mean, that's fascinating stuff, because I was thinking about Alternative 3 and all of this, and of course this obviously gets us to the question of regarding what's happening here on Earth, because that in some sense that documentary Alternative 3 went into the possibility that stuff here on Earth is so bad that they have to leave. But do you think that this could be a created scenario in order to kind of I guess renew the human race or something like that?
Or just to preserve it, say like an arc, ARK, like that type of an arc.
Yeah, sure.
Because if the 2012 thing is real, then, to be honest, they'll need an Alternative 3. The question is, I mean, ours is an extremely unfriendly place, and how long can such a place, how long can they mentally survive? Are there any resources there? I mean, there's a whole host of questions would need to be answered.
Yeah.
If suddenly Earth was gone, then what? You're on that planet, you're basically stuck there. If there are no resident life forms to work with or help you, if they're all extinct, then you might as well be in a pup tent out in the middle of the Sahara Desert. All the good it's going to do to be there. And after a while, I mean, it could result in a mental breakdown of the people. There's a lot of possibilities that that are very hard to foresee.
So to return a little bit to the Nazi connection, of course, is very interesting, considering that they might have been. Do you think that they were developing anti-gravity and stuff like this from the start, or and now that this have been transferred over to let's say the U.S. or the U.K. through the paperclip project? Is this the general outline that you kind of maintain here?
Well, I don't really discuss that in the book so much, as I'm pretty focused on the situation with artifacts.
Yeah, sure.
On the planet and the implications of a city being destroyed there, and I show the evidence of it. As far as where the technology came from, some of it has been used from crashes. I know this for a fact, that they have recovered vehicles and reverse engineered some of them. Some of them they can't understand to this day. They just can't. It'd be like handing a monkey a calculator and telling him to build one. I mean, we're basically the monkey.
Yeah.
We're talking about technologies that are just centuries or even many millennia ahead of where we are in our understanding of things. We're just now understanding entanglement of particles at the quantum level, and how you can affect something in one location, and on the other side of the Earth, the other one's affected. And, I think Einstein called it spooky action at a distance.
Yeah.
But it's still not well understood. It's not understood how these are connected, and how this happens. It's just a huge topic.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree that it's a fascinating subject. But in terms of this, this city you mentioned that you found, is there again? I guess the problem here is to, we can only speculate, I guess, to how to date a thing like this, considering that either they actually have begin to dig this up, and that's what we are seeing in these pictures. I mean, that's a possibility, right? That they're doing archaeological excavations and so forth on Mars as we speak.
Yes, it's quite possible. Now, there's some really, really interesting evidence with the Gusev crater area, and that is, it's believed to have been a lake. However, I have found evidence that it was created by an explosion. And the rocks on the slopes of the crater are blackened on one side and very light colored on the other side, on the opposite side of the slope the rock is on. All right, and the camera has even caught the area where this abruptly stops. So whether it was a fireball or, what have you, where the edge of where the blackening, it just stops, and then from there to the top of the edge of the rim, it's just like the rest of the surface. So something just blew this area apart, if you will, and it's 90 miles across. It's big.
Yeah.
As big as a small state, or
Yeah.
So how did it happen, and why are these artifacts laying there? How did they get there?